This isn't something that I hear many people talking about, but I absolutely think that it should be one of the arrows in the quiver for anyone planning out their retirement income. Now, these YouTube videos that I and some of my colleagues make, we tend to focus on the big stuff, the home runs, and those make for some great video titles and content. But, retirement income planning is usually a collection of lots of smaller strategies working together and not just one big decision that you make at one time. So today, I want to show you one of those smaller strategies that can have a big impact if you use it correctly. Now, let me give you a little background before I show you how this works. So, if you file for Social Security after full retirement age, they'll allow you to claim up to 6 months of retroactive benefits, but only for months after full retirement age. So that means that once you're full retirement age plus 6 months, you can receive a lump sum payment equal to 6 months of benefits. Now, the trade off is that your ongoing benefit is reduced to what it would have been 6 months earlier. So, for example, let's assume that your full retirement age benefit is $3,000 per month, and you're now 6 months past that. If you file today, your benefit would be about 4% higher, or roughly $3,100 and something dollars, because benefits increase for each month you delay. But instead, you could choose to file retroactively and be treated as if you had filed 6 months ago at full retirement age. And in that case, you'd receive a lump sum payment of about $18,000 for the prior 6 months, and your ongoing benefit would be set at that $3,000 per month. Now, I'm not going to argue that everyone should do this just because you can get a lump sum. I don't think that. Instead, I want to show you how this rule can be used strategically and to your advantage in the right situations. And this fits squarely into what we've talked about before with the golden runway period. We just published a video on this. These are the years when you have the most flexibility to control your income and therefore your taxes over the rest of your retirement. And if you haven't watched that video yet, it's worth checking out. So, here's an example of what we're talking about today. So, let's say you reach full retirement age in July of 2026. And during the rest of 2026, you may want to preserve room inside of your tax brackets for Roth conversions, capital gain harvesting, or maybe it's just simply staying below the next IRMAA threshold. Now, in the past, your choice has really always been presented as being pretty simple. You could either file for Social Security and let that income start showing up in 2026 and potentially interfering with some of the planning that you wanted to do, or you could delay and push Social Security out until the next year. But the retroactive filing rule really adds a third option where you can wait until January of 2027 to file, keeping your 2026 income clean for tax planning purposes, and then Electman retroactive benefit that allows you to receive a lump sum payment for those benefits that you missed in 2026 while still keeping Social Security out of your 2026 brackets. Now, I know most of you are thinkers, and you may already be thinking, now, Devin, look, you've just added a lump sum to another year, and that's going to mess up the taxes for that year, right? And I get it. That's a fair concern. But this is where a very small nuance in the tax code comes in, and that's the worksheet election. Now, this allows you to apply that lump sum Social Security income in a way that results in the lowest amount of taxable Social Security, whether that's using the current year or looking back to the prior year. And importantly, this does not require filing an amended tax return. Instead, the IRS allows you to recalculate how much of those benefits would have been taxable in the earlier year. And if that amount is lower than what would be taxable this year, you simply include the lower amount on your current return. So again, this is about control, not avoiding tax, but choosing the least costly place for it to land. And this is not something that everyone should do. And this is not something that's going to make a huge difference in your retirement, and you don't want to just go out and grab a lump sum because it's available. But this is one of those narrow tools that can make sense in very specific situations, and usually for people who are actively coordinating Social Security with a broader tax and retirement income plan. And as with most good retirement planning, it's not one big decision that makes or breaks your income. It's a series of decisions like these smaller, thoughtful choices that's going to work together over time. Well, I hope that was helpful.